Greetings, respected viewers. I'm George from Ireland. So here I am, opposite 74 Princedale Road, Notting Hill, London. So this house was the house of Arnold Leese for many years, up until his death in 1956. So Leese is best known for having been a leading light of British fascism and having been a very proud anti-Semite. Let me preface my remarks by saying I'm completely opposed to his views. He was vile. He promoted the most vicious brand of anti-Jewish hatred. So Mr. Leese, he was born in Lancashire in 1878 into a middle-class family. Although he was related to a baronet, he's not related to the General Sir Oliver Leese, despite the surname being exactly the same. So he then qualified as a vet. He could have stayed in the United Kingdom with a small animal practice, very easy looking after dogs and cats for wealthy old widows, but no, he went out to India, where he developed a fascination with camels, and he became a world expert on camels, indeed published The Camel in Health and in Disease, which was a standard reference text on camels in South Asia for decades. Incidentally, it was the dromedary, the one-humped camel, not the Bactrian, the two-humped camel, that was his fixation. And he later served in what was then British East Africa, Kenya, and that was that. He'd returned to the United Kingdom by the 1930s. So he was a day one enthusiastic fascist. He was not impressed by the British Union of Fascism. That was Sir Oswald Mosley's outfit, saying that it was really just conservative on stilts. They did meet, they briefly had a collaboration. Later they fell out, and he felt that Sir Oswald was not anti-Jewish enough. And this guy was the most disgusting bigot, like the most evil man going. In 1935, advocating the mass murder of Jewish people with poison gas. So it was staggering. Now he said he cared for animals, and one of the reasons he was so prejudiced against Jewish people was shechita, butchering. That's to say, cutting the throat whilst the animal's still alive, so the blood is pumped out because the heart is still going. And he felt that was cruelty to animals. Cruelty to humans didn't seem to bother him one whit. Obviously, halal butchering is very similar, but that didn't seem to trouble him. And of course, there were tens of millions of Muslims in India back in those days, because remember, Bangladesh and Pakistan were both part of India till 1947. So Leese was here during the 1930s, and there he was vigorously advocating for his Nazi cause. And when the Second World War came, he was unhappy that the Nazis under Hitler invaded Germany, and he was detained under Regulation 18B. That was just the Home Secretary could sign, we can detain you, it's time of war, habeas corpus is suspended. So he was locked up with others who were thought to assist an invasion by the Third Reich were it to transpire. So he detested that. He said it was a Jewish war. He claimed that the Jewish minority in the UK, about 1% of the population, were secretly controlling things behind the scenes. So he was tirelessly promoting these ludicrous conspiracy theories. Anyway, he was released as the war drew to an end because it was patent that he wasn't much of a threat. He was married to May Winifred. I'm not sure if they had children actually, and he retired to this flat here, where there was an open door policy for any racists around. So here we are in Notting Hill, and so quite a few black people from the Caribbean moved over after 1948, the arrival of the SS Empire Windrush that July. Anyway, so there was a reaction here. Some people were very prejudiced against them. Sometimes you'd see these signs up in windows saying no blacks, no dogs, no Irish, and so on. People not willing to rent rooms to us or not employ us. But anyway, so this was not such a shishi area at the time, not so upscale, and it was a sort of upper middle class area which had really fallen on hard times and things weren't repaired. So Peter Rachman, a Polish-Jewish immigrant himself, you might say, was taking pity on these fellow immigrants. He bought up a lot of property and rented them out. There's actually a white British guy who was his business partner, but a lot of opprobrium attached to Rachman, saying he was appositely named as a rack renter and driving out sitting tenants because they could jack up rents to triple the market price, and black people who'd arrived from the West Indies had little choice because they had nowhere else to go. Whole families living in one room. But some of the white residents were disgustingly racist towards their fellow citizens of the Commonwealth. There were physical attacks and all sorts of verbal abuse and so on. And of course, Leese was encouraging all this. The thing is, Leese, he didn't have the excuse of stupidity. He was a highly intelligent man, author of a number of books, and he was a prolix pamphleteer, for his white supremacist cause. He thought that some white people weren't white, as in Jewish people, however pale their skin is, they're not white according to him, which just shows how off the wall he was. Not that skin tone matters to me, but it matters very much to white supremacists. Anyway, so he died in 1956, many years too late, if you ask me. And his wife lived on here until her death in 1974. And again, it was a drop-in centre for white supremacists, the White Defence League, which is really an anti-black hate group, and the National Social Movement and so on. He didn't like Sir Oswald, as I said, towards the end of his life. Mosley was living in Paris, promoting the idea of European Union, coming back here periodically to campaign to expel all the black people from the United Kingdom. Fortunately, he was heavily defeated and humiliated in by-elections around here. Well, that is Arnold Leese, and it was known as Arnold Leese House in neo-Nazi circles.